Yeah, what's up? What's up? What's up? Remember to like to beat off the haters, and the haters are in action. Because Chippy didn't appreciate Adam Azim, huh? Now this video is going to be about Gay J. He's Jermaine Jackson. Sorry, Franklin, and but before we go on to that, yeah, Azim. So like I said, you know, I was called a hater because I said, listen, man, this guy's hanging his chin out. The guy's fighting is a total bum. He threw about 4 punches and landed two of them. Um, and as Azim has been pushed so much, so what we have to judge him by those standards. He's headlining after 7 fights a card when he should be on the undercard. And Ben Shalom, 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 Ben Shalom tells us how he's the next superstar. So you got to judge him by those standards, and those standards, to me, meant that Adam is he's gonna get chinned. I think he'll get laid up. Anyway, one more thing, right? So, so it should be right. Watch this film. I watched this film in the last week. Yeah, and it's on Netflix. Now I don't buy Netflix. Yeah, number one because I don't buy, you know, I don't buy these mainstream media things, and also they're like nonsense. They had a film about 11-year-old girls in Sweden twerking. I mean, that's sickening, man. But this film was called All Quiet on the Western Front. Yeah. Now it's after a famous book. It's about World War One from a German perspective, and there've been a couple of films on it. One in the 1930s, yeah, one in the with John Boy Wharton, more recently, and then this one, which was last year. Now, man, that is some heavy stuff. And you know what sickens me about it? My head was in my hands because it shows you how the elite convinced you to do anything with these young boys. Oh, it's all going to be glorious. It's all going to be glorious. Oh, you're doing it for the country and the fatherland. Meanwhile, these guys, right? These guys are eating like lovely, lovely lunches, yeah, in posh, in houses, and trains that are well upholstered, and these poor young kids have been talked into, you know, being in the mud. And what happens, man? They get killed. They end up screaming. Their guts are falling out. They cry for their mothers, and that shows how little the elite care about normal people. Yeah. So, for example, in the Somme was a famous battle in the First World War between mainly the British vis Germans, and honestly, this is ridiculous sounding, but the generals reckoned that we're going to freak the Germans out. We're going to freak the Germans out. They run over no man's land when they're just open targets, and they're like, oh, instead of running towards the Germans, we're going to freak them out. We're just going to walk to keep discipline. We're just going to walk. I'm not laughing because, I mean, it's just so ridiculous because it's sickening, man. All these kids getting zapped. And they're like, oh, we're just gonna walk. The generals, we're gonna get the people to the troops to walk across no man's land, and it will freak the Germans out because of our discipline. And what happened? Well, they got absolutely destroyed, wiped out, mown down. I read it from a German guy. He's like, I mean, you couldn't believe it. We're like, what are they doing, man? They were sitting ducks. Yeah, in one day. 60,000 casualties, 20,000 of which were dead, and 40,000 mutilated. Yeah, because some idiot had thought that it would be really impressive if the British soldiers walked. This is how little they care about you. This is how little they care about you. But yeah, I'm here to talk about Gay J. And Gay J is fighting Jermaine Jackson. Now, some people are saying like I've seen people ask, is it a good fight for him, man? Because Jermaine is obviously tough. He should have won against Dillian White, But I've never really rated Dillian much higher than European level, So regardless of that win in inverted commas, You know, it's not that amazing, but I thought he deserved to win by a couple of rounds, and he's tough. He's tough and a decent boxer, but he's fat as well. You know, you've always got to be suspicious of an athlete who can't be bothered to get into good shape, even though he's risking his life, his livelihood. You know, this is I do like a fat heavyweight. You know, Ruiz, huh? People like that. Some of the 80s guys were fat. Tony Tubbs, who was a very classy boxer with fast hands, but these guys didn't. They did not achieve their potential. Um, and so Jermaine Jackson is fighting Gay J on April the 1st, which is a bit weird because that's April Fool's Day. I mean, it was. I wouldn't read much into that, but still. You know? And he's tough, Jack. What's his name? Jermaine Franklin. And I think Gay J is gun shy now. He's gun shy. But the problem is, if you are backing Franklin, is that Franklin has never stopped anyone who's vaguely decent. No one at all. Any of his decent wins are on points. On points. So he doesn't have that much power. And he's obviously, like I said, he's a bit flabby. So his work, you'd imagine his work rate will not be that high. And that's why he's been chosen. That's why he's been chosen. I don't think he can hurt Gay J, although Gay J has no confidence anymore in his ability to take a shot. What's likely to happen? I think Joshua will fight a bit like I said, he's gun shy, man. He doesn't like engaging anymore. And don't listen to that nonsense about Joshua. He gave Usyk a much better fight in the second fight. The pound for pound king, you know, remember Spence Oliver Brown nosing Gage. No, man. Joshua lost almost every round in that fight. He never had Usyk, a guy who weighed like 20 pounds less, hurt. He never had him in any trouble. I mean, you know, honestly, you know, being generous, 10 rounds to 2 to Usyk. 10 rounds to 2. But the issue is, I mean, Usyk is not a puncher, a heavyweight, right? But he has work rate and he hits you from odd angles. Obviously, Franklin has not got that skill, but I feel he's tough. I feel Gay J has lost his vibe. He's trying to get whatever payday he can out of the game, and Eddie Hearn's trying to get whatever paydays he can get out of the game. And by the way, that Dazin looks like it's going to be wrecked. I mean, how can that carry on, man? He's lost like $6 billion. Yeah? And do you remember they said that Eddie Hearn said they're going to pay Gay J £100 million a year to back Dazin. You see, the problem is, you know, obviously Matchroom and Eddie Hearn escaped from Sky TV, and they thought they were bigger and better, and we got this new platform. But DAZN is not got the promotional ability of Sky. Sky Sports, loads of people have got in the UK, and they constantly watch it because they're idiots, man. And they care about bread and circus. And then you can put in promotions all the time. You put it in Sky Sports News, right? You put it in adverts. DAZN don't have that. They're an app, and some people don't even know how to like download it and watch it. Yeah, so they don't have that promotional power that Sky have, and Eddie Hearn's now realizing that. And I got no love for Eddie Hearn. You know, he deserves it. He's greedy. He's the degenerate secret society guy, and his father's a wrong un. Okay, so they're announcing that this fight will not be on the DAZN pay-per-view. It will be on normal, which is fine, but they've just put up the costs. Remember, it used to be $199, which obviously I agree was very low and good value actually. To $7.99 now it's like $19.99. We know, and they've done pay-per-view, even after saying they wouldn't, and now they don't have pay-per-view anymore, but you got to pay $9.99 to watch it. You know, it's a month. So, you know, I mean, it's got to fall apart. It's got to fall apart, man. The zone. This guy who owns it, what's his name? Blavatsky or something. You can't keep pumping money into that. We're not talking about millions or hundreds of thousands. We're talking about billions, blood. Yeah. And then also, right, we're talking about the fight. So, Joshua, I've said this before, Joshua has not got the same confidence without AKA skins. Yeah, Ben behind Mihani, who's his new boo, cannot bring to the table what skins can. You know, because Skins was there for years and they were close and they were, lovers. So Ben Heine, the replacement, cannot bring the same vibe to Gay J. So what I think will happen essentially, I think that it won't be that interesting to fight. Joshua won't risk anything. You don't risk getting knocked out. Firstly, because he's a coward and gun shy, and secondly because it's not a big enough payday. He needs some big paydays so he can cash out. So he will probably box quite conservatively. It'll probably be enough, like the second Ruiz fight. It'll probably be enough to appoint Jermaine Jackson. And I expect Gay J will win that fight 7-5 or 8-4. And regardless of, even if Franklin's in it, they're not going to give it to him, just like they wouldn't give him against Dylan White. And he ain't a big enough name for them to care anyway. And he's an American, right? So there's not going to be a massive hoo-ha when he gets robbed. Anyway, so that's my prediction for Gay J, Jermaine Jackson.